Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-new Prologue EV, there's a lot that can impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're listening from. Welcome back to another edition of Chat with Chaps, which this is the Chaps Reacts podcast, where we are reacting to Millwall announcing the signing of Femi Azeez from Reading Football Club. I'm not going to claim to know bundles about Femi. I've seen him play a couple of times, so I thought I'd ask an expert. So today we bring James from the Reading FC Away Days podcast on to Chat with Chaps. James, thanks for coming on, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. How about yourself? All good?
I am a little bit better now. We've started to make some signings, mate. We, I don't know how much you know, but we've gone 4 weeks without making a signing, and let's just say our manager has been making a lot of noise publicly about his dismay at the lack of signing. So, yes, I think I speak on behalf of the Millwall fans to say we're excited, and we are excited about Femi Azeez. So I'll jump straight in, mate. Tell us more about Femi Azeez.
Well, first of all, if we'd only gone 4 weeks without making a sign-in, I would be buzzing with that. Someone who's gone through owner turmoil over the last couple of years. Just 4 weeks would be lovely. But in terms of Femi Azeez, I was talking to you off camera just a minute ago, but Femi Azeez is a great football player who, over the last 9 months, 6 months, has made fantastic development. If you told me a year ago that Azeez was going, I wouldn't have been too bothered. But now I am. Azeez was always expected to make that step up back to the Championship. His contract was out last year, but Reading triggered an extension in the summer with Plymouth supposedly agreeing terms for Azeez already. So look, you've had to fight off Championship competition. I think I know Stoke and Plymouth as well were the 2 teams that were still coming in for him this summer. And I think he was always expected to make that step up. It's whether or not he can do it on a consistent basis now. Towards the last 6 months of last year, Ruben Celis was able to make Femi Azeez tick perfectly. He stuck by him a lot of the year, the first half of the season. And I think Reading fans will probably agree with me, was pretty dreadful from Azeez. His finishing, the confidence was low, and everything just didn't go right for Azeez. Whereas the second half of the season, you started to see a purple patch come in. I don't know the specific numbers, but it might have been like 6 goals within a month or so 5 goals within a month. And he really started to turn it around. Some people claim as a purple patch player. I don't see that personally. I just did a video talking about the Millwall signing Azeez just 10, 15, 20 minutes ago. And for me, Azeez is a player that will always put 100% effort on the pitch. And the statistics might not always back it up, but Azeez's performances, you'll always see someone that will give his all. So, yeah. Sorry.
And I think that last bit's key, because I think Millwall fans will not accept anything other than that. And I know every club says that, but I think Millwall, especially at home at the Den, if you're not quite putting in the 100% effort, it can become a bit of a lonely place and certainly nowhere you can hide. So that's important. Let's have a quick look at his stats from last season. And as you say, a lot of this was towards the back end of the season. So goals, if you're listening on a podcast, I'll just read this out. So goals, 8 goals last season, 9 assists, chances created 71, successful dribbles 51. So they're kind of his key numbers. How accurately would you say those stats reflect his performances last season, James?
I think if you go off a basis of an overall season, it reflects it well, because I think just shy of 10 goals and 10 assists is a very good season, I think, no matter what type of player you are. I think if you're pulling in them type of numbers, it's almost 20 goal contributions for the entire season. When you take a look at Azeez as well, I think he's top 5 in terms of shots as well in the league last year. He was within the top 10 of most of them stats that you read off there in terms of like chances created and stuff like that. Azeez was someone that was always towards the top end of the spectrum when it came to League One statistics. I think Azeez is somebody that when you look at him, he's someone that maybe will do a little bit too much sometimes, and the lack of the right foot will be a little bit of a concern. But in today's modern era of playing wingers, it's like you'll be a right winger, but your left foot will always be your strong one, right? As seems to always be the right way right now. So look, I think realistically, when you look across the entire season, Azeez had a very good year last year, and the statistics really probably do show that.
Yeah, and I sort of had a look at him in terms of just how those numbers compare to some other players that we have seen join the championship since. So Ephraim Mason-Clark obviously joined Coventry. We've seen he's not joined anyone yet, but Abu Kamara at Portsmouth last season has been touted to join a championship club. And then, of course, Dembele was at Blackpool and has recently signed for QPR. All three of those did rank higher than him in terms of overall output. So I guess what I'm saying is to Millwall fans, those three players are a benchmark and we should be considering his performances, in the realms of that. But how, based on what you saw, how would you rank him against some of those names?
So I would consider the three players that you spoke about there the S tier of League One wingers. I think you can add Kwame Poku in there as well from Peterborough. Yeah. They're the top end of what you're going to get in League One. I would say Azeez is just a step below that. I wouldn't say he's at that level just yet. Still think he's got a little bit of developing to do. I think he's 24 this season. He'll turn 24. Yeah. So Azeez has still got plenty of career in front of him. And if you compare him to the players that you said about, he's not in that league just yet, but he's getting there, if that makes sense. Then players as well, probably, I think, will be younger than Azeez as well. So they might go on to do much better things. But if you go in and pull the numbers that they were put in last year, I think Azeez, again, it's a successful signing if he goes on to replicate them numbers.
So let's talk about his attributes then. So first of all, what are his key attributes? What are the things that you think Millwall fans can look forward to seeing? Is it pace, power? He seems to have a really good left foot on him. I've seen some of his goals from highlight reels, but highlight reels can mean one thing, but it's a highlight reel for a reason. What are his key attributes, James?
So for me, Azeez is a really good runner with the ball. He's someone that will take a man on. He won't be afraid. If he fails 3 times, he's going to try the 4th. He's going to try the 5th. He's going to keep attacking his defender. He's someone that attacking wise, it's absolutely fantastic. That's where his strengths lie. His left foot, like you said, is a wonderful left foot. He can strike the ball from anywhere. Last year, his goals would have ranged from 25, 30 yards. When it comes to one-on-one finishing, that's where maybe Azeez struggles a little bit. And the same with his right foot. His weaker foot is a weaker foot for a reason. I think towards as the season developed a bit more last year, we started to see it improve a lot more. But again, it's not something that's just going to come within a couple of months. I've now got a right foot and I can just bang it in with my right. So I think for Azeez, he's going to be someone that you will expect to see attacking more than defending. Someone that will track back, but won't be the greatest when tracking back. To me, standout moments from last season were Exeter and Leyton Orient away, where Leyton Orient away, Azeez gives away the corner, and I could be wrong here, so I do apologise, but he gives away a needless corner. Leyton Orient score in the 90th minute from it. And the same with Exeter. I feel like there was a lot last year where when it comes to the defensive side of things, he struggles a lot with. The one-on-one finishing as well last year, he struggled towards the start of the season, and it was something that once Sam Smith was back in the side for Reading last year, you didn't see him really go one-on-one too much with keepers again. So if he's being asked to play down the middle, or if he's drifting into the middle, you might see a couple of times where fans will be frustrated with Azeez because, he's one-on-one with the keeper 70% of the time you're hoping your striker or your winger will be able to score that situation. Azeez is someone that realistically, maybe a 45, 50% of the time he's going to score them. His one-on-one finishing isn't great, but overall, in terms of attacking, he's someone that is a constant threat. He's someone that can put a really good cross into the box. He's somebody that will attack his defender all the times. He's someone that will have his defender worried that he's coming up against Femi Azeez. So for me, that's Azeez's main key attributes in terms of like offensive. He's fantastic. It's just the defensive side of things is the bit where Femi starts to struggle.
And I'm right in thinking that predominantly he plays as a right winger. Is that right? With a sort of inverted left foot.
Yeah. So majority of the time he was on the right wing. Played a little bit as a striker as well last season. I think he can also play a little bit on the left. He's played across that front three really for Reading just the entire season. Last year we had a lot of times where the wingers would swap or the striker would go out behind, drop deeper and stuff like that. So he's really fluid in terms of his position where he can play, but predominantly you'd see him on the right wing.
Yeah. So I think for Millwall fans, he's probably going to be competition for Romain Esse. We don't really have anyone that can play on the right side. Honeyman can, but let's be fair. We want to be more attacking in front foot this season, so it gives us an option there. It also means that Esse can play in the number 10 if need be. And on the left-hand side, we obviously have Idemo Maku and Duncan Watmore. So gives a little bit more of a dynamic approach to our front line. One of the things that through his highlight reels, James, I've been really impressed with has just been, you kind of touched on it there, just his willingness to run at people and just his pure physical attributes. You know, he seems pretty quick, not like lightning, but fairly quick. And he seems to have, when he runs at players, he runs with a purpose and he seems quite powerful as well. So that's something that I'm particularly looking forward to. Would you say that's a fair description of the way that he plays?
Yeah, I would say it is. I think Azeez, again, like I said, he's someone that's got a trick up his sleeve. I wouldn't say he's the fastest of players. He's not the quickest, but he's someone that, you know, unless you're looking at a proper fast right back or a left back, you're going to see him probably beat his man a lot of the time. So yeah, I say it's a fair assessment.
Nice. Okay. So we're going to get someone who's tricky, is a constant threat, definitely has room for development defensively, which I'm sure Neil Harris will demand of him, but has got some physical attributes and puts out numbers that Millwall have needed for some time, which is, you know, successful dribbles, just taking a man on. We don't have a great deal of ball carriers in our team. That's something we've been crying out for. Someone that can get us up the pitch, that can just take us 20 yards. We have quite an aging squad of players that will try and pass their way up the pitch or lump it forward. We don't have many that can be like, right, yeah, I might fail, but I'm going to try and take on a man or two and try and get us up the pitch 20 yards. So I think that's a vital ingredient that we've been lacking. So really looking forward to that. James, I don't know if you've met him before or know of his character at all, but do you know what kind of person he is in the dressing room?
I mean, he's not forced to move, which to me is always a good sign. Ruben Selles was someone, and Reading as well in general, over the last year have decided that they want the I don't know how to describe it, the no bad personality traits. They want the correct attitudes at the club, and Azeez survived through that. Again, like I said, not somebody that forced to move. He's someone that the contract extension was triggered. You never heard anything of unrest. You never heard anything of him being upset. When fans started to turn on Reading last season with the poor start to the season that we had, he was never somebody that shied away. Ruben Selles was someone that made the entire team go and clap the fans after a game. If you've been beaten by Leyton Orient or you've been drubbed away by like any team that we were playing at the time, he would make them stand there and clap the fans and listen to the abuse and build character. And I think Azeez has built a lot of character over that time as well. And, you know, listening to the abuse from the fans and listening to fans belittle the players, it all makes you stronger. And I think he's someone that has become a lot stronger as a football player and somebody whose confidence was knocked massively towards last season. He's looked like a shell of a footballer, looked like someone who was destined to stay in the League Two, National League, League One level for the rest of his career. And then as soon as you started to score, you started to see the confidence return back to Femi Azeez. You started to see the happiness and the smile, and, started to see somebody that wanted to enjoy football again. And I think, again, if his confidence is knocked, potentially could be somebody who you'll see start to struggle, and on the pitch might be someone that you might see maybe not take on that player because, okay, my confidence is lower. But while he's at this high, which he's at the moment, and it's probably why I've been talking about him so highly over the last 15 minutes, because he has been this high confidence player over the last 6 months. He's somebody that will absolutely do the job.
Yeah. And again, there's a lot of videos of him on YouTube, and he does seem to play with a bit of a swagger, a bit of just seems to glide past players at times. And again, it's only going to show you the times he's beaten a man. I know that, but when he does, when he's on form, he seems to be that he is certainly capable of that step up. And I think that as Millwall fans, we need to be patient with him. Remember then that he's still only 23 years old, and it's a big step up for him. And I think as well that the best Millwall wingers are blown hot and cold. I think back to the likes of, from my tenure, one of my favourite Millwall wingers of all time is Paul Ifill. And he, at times he would be very frustrating, but at times he was unplayable. And I think that's just the nature of, they probably call them forwards now, but the good old fashioned wingers, which we're certainly hoping that Femi Azeez can bring to the club. You touched on earlier that he was linked with Plymouth, with Stoke. I've seen other fans on social media of other clubs in the Championship, Swansea to name one, that were disappointed they didn't go for Azeez. Based on current situation with finances and his contract, what sort of fee would you be hoping for him as a Reading fan?
Well, when you have it in comparison to last season, Reading sold Nelson Abbey, who was one of the hot prospects when it came to being a centre-back, came in 6 months, outstanding, and looked like someone to me who could just slot into a Premier League team straight away. He went to Olympiacos, and the rumoured fee was between 500 and 750,000. So, look, if it's around that mark, for me, in other situations, 750,000 to 1 million would sound correct. Compared to what Reading actually will sell them for, I'm not sure. I would maybe say the 500,000, 600,000 range is probably something that you're probably going to be looking at, if we're being honest. Obviously, all our finances are undisclosed because of the ownership situation and Die Young and
Likewise.
stuff like that. Yeah, it's just, a pain. But look, realistically, I'd say it'd be around 600,000 if I hazard to have an educated guess. That would be the guess anyway that I would make.
Yeah,
there'll probably be some sort of sell-on fee as well. Reading seem to always add a sell-on fee at the minute as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was a 10, 15% sell-on fee there as well. Sorry.
No, absolutely. And that's just sensible business, right? I think as a Millwall fan, I think if we pay anything under $1 million, I think is probably fair for a top-end League One player with potential. And as you say, with a little sell-on fee. So I'm sure neither of us will ever actually know the money that gets exchanged, given the way that we both do business, but be interesting nonetheless. So how do you replace him? So do you already have a ready-made replacement? I mean, I don't know how true it is, but I know he's been carrying an injury. Or that's certainly been the narrative. And I know he did the lap of honour on his own on the weekend, which was why I was kind of optimistic that we might see something this week. But yeah, how do you go about replacing Azeez?
For me, Azeez, like I said, he's not irreplaceable, but he's someone that would be difficult to replace within the side. I think the goals and assist numbers that he was able to provide last year is going to be tough to replicate. Reading have already kind of got a replacement. Mamadi Kamara started the season for Reading. Obviously, Azeez carrying this back injury. He was obviously back on the bench for Saturday's game. But Mamadi Kamara is someone that has slotted into the position. He's not somebody that will play the same style, but he's somebody that's there. There's been rumours as well that Reading today are taking on Sunderland winger Benite. I can't remember the first name for the life of me. I just spoke about him as well just a moment ago. But Benite is somebody who Reading are set to potentially take out on loan. He's someone who, when you look at the highlight reels, is a Costa Rican winger, so South American. He's got bags of pace, lots of trickery. So he's 20 years old, so the lad probably needs a lot of development, but maybe that is somebody they bring in to replace Reading consistently as well. And I stand by this statement, have one of the best youth academies in the country. So we're consistently churning out new players all the time. So for me, there's probably going to be some sort of replacement down the line, maybe an Adrian Akande, someone like that. He's looking to make that step up this season, impressed in the under-21s last year. And look, Reading have secured European football for their under-21 side, which is crazy to think. So I'm sure there's some sort of youthful replacement to be lined up. So yeah, I'm sure there's someone in the wings.
No, I mean, I can only echo. Listen, I'm not going to claim to know bundles about your youth setup, but what I can say is from an outsider looking in, there's definitely more than just Azeez that I would look at and say, oh, we could do with him. I'm not going to try and pronounce his surname, but you have a centre forward. Go on, you do it, James.
Ehibachaman.
Him. Yeah, him.
Yeah.
He's someone that I think he's a good player. I don't know whether he's someone that you think could step up to the championship.
Yep, that's who you think it is. The Grimace Mug. The Hello Kitty keychain. Barbie herself. For a limited time, your favorite McDonald's collectibles filled with memories and magic are now on collectible cups. Get one of 6 when you order a collector's meal at McDonald's with your choice of a Big Mac or 10-piece McNuggets. Come get your cup while you still can. At participating McDonald's for a limited time while supplies last.
I think Ehibachaman's been outstanding for the start of this season. He's someone that draws a lot of comparisons to Lucas Schwal, who was previously at Reading. Yeah. He's someone with the ball at his feet is absolutely outstanding, and somebody that is a different type of player with the ball at his feet to Azeez. And again, someone that can rocket a ball in. He's also someone that's a really good finisher. So for me, Ehibachaman's not the total package and not the finished package yet. I think he's 20 years old as well, but he's someone that once this new ownership comes in with Reading is someone that we have to tie down to a new contract quick because, I think a lot of clubs will be sniffing around for him.
Yeah, no, he's been someone that I think that ever since you battered us 4-0, if you remember, which Azeez, from memory, Azeez had quite a good game in that one. But you've definitely, I think it was Savage as well, had a good game. I think you definitely showcased your youth talents there, and testament to you, because I think clubs that don't have the luxuries of parachute money, you have to find ways of generating money, right? And if you can do that through your own academy, then even better, right?
Well, yeah, being a Cat 1 academy is definitely has its benefits. There's been a lot of rumors recently with the new ownership potentially getting rid of that, but the money it generates is something that is irreplaceable to Reading, really. I mean, you look at the likes of Omar Richards going to Bayern Munich, Danny Loader going to Porto. I mean, look at Michael Elise now as well at Bayern Munich, all players that came through this Reading setup, and I'm sure there's a load more that are going to eventually go on to the top as well. So, yeah, some of that, it's irreplaceable at Reading at the moment.
No, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And I think Reading have got a unique situation going on at the moment. And I know there's an imminent takeover coming, but I'd love to know, and I'm sure the Millwall fans listening, just give us a little bit of a flavour as to, what's been going on at the club, and also, given what may be about to happen, what your hopes are for this season at least.
For me, I think stability is the main thing. That's what Reading fans have been crying out for a little while. Dai Young is someone that has recklessly spent at Reading Football Club. I don't think the intentions were always bad, but the outcomes always have been. He's always had the wrong people in his ear. And I think that's the issue. He's always had agents like whispering in his ear, spending close to £10 million on an Inter Milan Romanian striker who goes on to score like a handful of goals. Well, more than a handful, but barely any
What was
goals
his
for the
name
club.
again? Or was that
Puskas.
Puskas? It was Puskas because unfortunately didn't play like the original one, right?
Well, yeah, you would have liked to have dreamt of him too, right? But the only reason we sign him is because the owner has a bit of a rivalry, or he's friends with the Birmingham owner and wanted to just one-up him. That's the only reason that the player comes to the club. Lucas Schwal signed for $5+ million, who was a bench player realistically at Sheffield Wednesday, who had, for me, was a very good striker eventually at Reading, had a 20+ goal season. But the reckless spending and the reckless amounts of time where we were just rejecting bids for no reason and giving out ridiculous contracts. Liam Moore being paid 30 grand a week, or more money than Dominic Calvert-Lewin at one point. Like, I know he's not the greatest of player, but a Premier League striker to Liam Moore doesn't make sense. Rejecting £7 million from Wolves for Danny Loader, who eventually goes and leaves 6 months later for free to Porto. Losing Omar Richards for free. Losing Michael Elise for just $7 million. You see the type of players that we're losing and not getting anything in return. I mean, you look at now, you've seen Jadon Philligan at Hull, potentially. I think they were talking about bids coming in from Everton for 30 million. He couldn't lace Michael Elise's shoes realistically. Like, he's a good player, but Michael Elise is someone that is levels above and has gone on to go to Bayern Munich. So, these decisions and things like that have ruined Reading. The financial turmoil as well hasn't helped. I mean, they've blamed it on COVID, which is ridiculous, but we've had 18 points deductions across 3 seasons, which the only reason we were relegated from the Championship was because of this. Obviously, the performances weren't great, and you can't just blame it on that. But you to take away them 6-point deductions, Reading wouldn't have been relegated 2 years ago. Realistically, the man has ruined the club. He started to asset strip last season and obviously forced the fans to go on and pitch invade. Tennis balls was a big theme last year. Obviously, the pitch invasion, getting an EFL game suspended. Yeah, the fans are revolting, and it's time for the Die Young era to end.
Well, listen, we're not massive rivals, but footballing rivalries aside, I don't like to see any club go through that. So I do hope that, there is a new era on the horizon for you, and hopefully that that paves its way to a more successful future for you. I also just wanted to sort of ask you a little bit, if you don't mind, about Jake Cooper, because he's now been with us for a long time. And he's gone on to play over 300 games for the club. And I think from memory, we only paid 500k because a certain Yap Stam, who was your manager at the time, didn't want him. What's been I'd love to know what your perception was of Jake Cooper when he left the club, and kind of how you might have looked on his career from afar since.
The confirmation of Azeez has just happened now as we're live on air. So there's the confirmation of that one.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just gone through. In regards to Jake Cooper, though, Jake Cooper's somebody who I really liked at Reading. He's someone who Reading were going through a transition where they wanted to play ball playing centre backs, and I don't think Jake Cooper's that. I don't know if he's gone on to develop to become
James,
that.
James, no, and he never will be.
Someone who's quality in the air. But yeah, I really like Jake Cooper. His nephew is in the Reading Academy at the minute now, and is like a highly potential rated centre back as well. So if you end up poaching him, you could have an uncle nephew dynamic going on at Reading. At Millwall, which would be out of this world, really. But look, I think Jake Cooper was absolute quality. Well, not quality. I think on his day he was really good. I remember his debut was Norwich away, and he scored 2 goals. It might not have been his debut, but it was around the first when he started coming into the team. But 2 goals at Norwich away, and to me, it was one of my earlier memories of going to away games. And I'm like, right, Jake Cooper's the man. And then, proceeded to one in particular was Preston at home. The last game of the season, we got battered 4-0, and a long ball came over the top. Cooper's just got to touch it down with his feet. It goes through his legs, and Jermaine Beckford's got a 1-on-1.
He's got an error in him, Mr. Cooper.
Yeah, I think in the air, quality defender. Someone who maybe can organise a defence as well. I think I remember you guys coming to the Medeski a couple of years ago and him scoring in front of the Eamon Dolan stand, which for him must have been a fantastic memory. But the celebration, I hate when I see players come back and celebrate in front of Reading, and it's like, he came through our academy. But yeah, always had a soft spot for Jay Cooper.
Yeah, he's now our captain, actually. And I would imagine he'll probably end up being with us for another 2 or 3 years. He'll end up being... I reckon he'll go down as a bit of a modern-day Millwall legend because... And some Millwall fans listening to this might be like, have a laugh, mate. But he'll end up playing over 400 games for us. And regardless of his abilities, he would have been a fantastic servant for us. So we shall see how that goes. But look, James, it's been fantastic to have you on the show. I really do appreciate you coming on, taking the time to talk to us mainly about Femi Azeez, but also just to give us a bit of an update on Reading as a whole. For any Millwall fans listening to this, how can they hear more from you and also your podcast or YouTube channel?
So Reading FC Away Days is me on YouTube. Realistically, I talk about Reading mostly. Talking about match reviews after games. We give match previews as well. The start of every season, we do our predictions and stuff like that. We also take a look back at old Reading matches. So Medeski memories, or I've got a boatload of match day programs, which is too much to go into detail there, but boatload of them where we take a look back at the program, take a look back at the fixture and stuff like that. Just realistically, it's a lot of Reading stuff. I know some people are interested in just hearing football. If you're interested in that and interested in hearing how other teams will get on, that's my little plug there.
Oh, well, we'll definitely link to you, mate, when we put this video out. I'm gutted because I'm going to put this out tomorrow morning. So as Millwall fans are listening to this, you'll know we recorded it. What's the time now? 8:20 on Wednesday night. But be sure to plug your channel. And also, Millwall fans, James alluded to the fact he recorded something about Femi Azeez earlier. So it'd be good to listen to that as well. For any Reading fans listening to this, fairly new Millwall channel. And please do give us a like or a subscribe because we all proceeds this season will be going to Cancer Research UK. So even if you don't like Millwall, which I know there's a lot of people that don't, you'll know that your subscribe and follow is going to a good cause at least. But there you go. James, nothing more to say other than a massive thank you for coming on and wish you all the best for the season, mate.
Nice one. You too. Best of luck for the season.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.